Hey everybody, happy Tuesday, my friends. I hope that you are warm. It's cold. It's been snowy. There's nothing now. Well, I mean, there's a little bit now, but it's still cold. And I hope that you are staying warm. And I hope that you had a wonderful weekend and a great Monday. I am ready for today's project. I'm ready to go through the bargain bead box. I'm so excited about putting together this necklace project because it is so pretty and it is so simple. I love stringing projects. They just bring me so much joy. So hopefully this will bring you some joy as well. This was such a beautiful box. I hope that you guys loved it. Now listen, if you have not gotten your bargain bead box yet, most of you have already received yours. However, if you've not gotten yours yet and you don't want this to be a spoiler, you probably want to come back and watch this later because we are going to go through the entire box and then we're going to put together a necklace project using the beads that are in the box. So if you don't want your surprise to be spoiled, then you probably don't want to watch unless you've already gotten yours and opened it. But before we get into that, though, I do want to say hello to everybody. Hey, Mary, how are you? Hi, Debbie. Hi, Kathy. Gina is here. Deborah's here. Wendy, Viola, how are you? Bonnie is here. Nicole is here. All right, guys. So where is our Facebook family? Can somebody oh, there they are. There they are. Okay. It was just like taking a second to catch up, but I see it now. Tamara's here and Debbie is here. So all good. All good. All right, everybody. So let's get into all of the things before we get into the project, shall we? So first and foremost, I do want to remind you guys to set your reminders for 1 p.m. for Friday, for our Feel Good Friday show. It's always nice to get a jump start on those things. So definitely set your reminder for that. Also, set your reminders for 4 p.m. Eastern for Friday afternoon for my Art Beads live over on artbeads.com. So those are the two lives that I've got going on out in the world. However, Hardwired will be meeting today at 3 p.m. and on Thursday at 3 p.m. So if you're a Hardwired member, looking forward to this week's project. So don't forget about us. Don't forget to come and do your weekly project today. All right, so what else do we have going on? Let's see. Patreon is open for enrollment anytime you want. Hardwired is no longer open for enrollment. It will open again for enrollment at the end of the month. So just so you know, but if you would like to join Patreon, you can do that right now, anytime you want to. It just takes a couple of seconds and a couple of clicks. That is open to anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a YouTube user, Facebook user, you could be anywhere on the planet and you can be a Patreon member. Patreon members pay $10 a month, and $10 a month gets you exclusive at the very least three projects a month. It usually ends up being about 4, but at the very least, you are going to get 3 exclusive projects that you will not see anywhere else. You won't see them on Facebook. You won't see them on YouTube. They are only for our Patreon members. It's just extra content and a great way to help to support me and my business. And those projects are fun projects. They are not advanced or anything like that. They're just fun, beautiful projects that we put together. Let me show you what we put together this week for Patreon. We put together some sari ribbon earrings, did some wire wrapping. So if you're curious as to what we do over on Patreon, this was the project for the week. I encourage you to use beads that you've already got in your stash instead of sending you somewhere to buy more things, because if you're like me, you've got a lot of things. So we try to use those while we are hanging out over on Patreon. You also get exclusive access to our Discord server as well. All right, so now let's get into today's project. So today we are looking at Bargain Bead Box. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Bargain Bead Box, it is a monthly subscription service, beads, of course, and it is a curated selection of beads and other things, findings, chain, charms, those kinds of things that all go together. And there is, as I mentioned, a theme. I've got the theme right here. This month it is Dusty Rose. It's really beautiful. We're going to go through all of that, but If you've not ever subscribed to them before, I do want to mention that when you have subscribed to Bargain Bead Box, you get a 30% off discount coupon code that you can use over and over again throughout the month to get 30% off all of your purchases on their sister site, Bead Box Bargains. Bead Box Bargains is a great place to reorder items that you love from your Bargain Bead Box, as well as shop on other things. It's a great place to get not only beads like gemstones and check glass, but also a great place to stock up on my favorite things, which are bead caps, metal beads, spacers, and things like that. It's a great place to stock up on those. Use that 30% off coupon. And I also have a couple of discount codes that you guys can use if you would like to. They are being dropped here in the comment section, both on Facebook and YouTube. Please feel free to use those. I would really appreciate it if you did, or at least just give me a shout out when you make your purchases over on Bargain Bead Box. All right, guys, I'm going to turn you guys around and we're going to start going through this one, so that you guys can take a little look at what we've got here. Now, I already told you what the theme was for this month. It is Dusty Rose. It is so pretty. Got a couple of things in here that do not belong, that were mine. I'm going to sit those over here to the side. I'm going to dump this out. We're going to go through this. We're going to do the beads first, and then we'll go through the metal components. Now, I do want you to keep in mind that a lot of the beads have been separated from their strands. There's a lot less because we're using a lot of things in our project today. So just keep that in mind. Great place to start is with our freshwater shell rondelle nugget beads in pink. Now, I used a lot of these already, so that's going to let you know we're using these in today's project. So there was quite a few more of these that were included, but I'm using them. So this is more or less just to kind of give you a general overview. So, okay. Now, the next bead that we've got here are some pink rhodonite faceted rounds. This was a 15-inch strand. And again, a lot of these are missing because I'm using them in the project today, but there is a little small version of what is included. Okay. Then we have some 8mm rhodonite. These, at least mine were a little bit darker, a little moodier, if you will, which I absolutely adore. That's really beautiful. This is so cool because you can mix this with like your khakis and your browns and your tans and your blacks and your grays and all of the pinks as well. So it's really versatile. I love that. It's like a camouflage pink. So pretty. All right, next up we have one of my favorites. We have some 10mm rose quartz, and they are matte. I love matte rose quartz. I love all rose quartz, but I do love the matte ones. They are some of my favorites. I don't know. There's just something kind of romantic about the matte finish. So there are some of those. And of course, we'll be using some of these in our project. That's why the strand is already cut. All right, let's see. What's next? What's next? What's next? Oh, this was a pretty strand. So we have some black tourmaline. This is a 4mm faceted strand, 7.5 inches of black tourmaline. These are gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. This might be my favorite bead in here just because you guys know how I feel about smaller beads with the facets. This is really beautiful. This, if you didn't know that this was tourmaline, you could almost think this was spinel. Like you have to look at it up close and personal, like really, really up close to tell that this is the tourmaline and not the spinel. And how do you tell? It's got these little kind of brown variations in it. That's what lets you know the difference, because the spinel is true black, whereas the tourmaline has like, it's almost like a little bronze that runs through it. But gosh, they're so pretty. Absolutely beautiful. Very, very sparkly. Love that. Okay, next up, some more sparkle is the 4mm crystal faceted bicone beads in antique copper. I don't know that wait a minute. Yeah, I don't know that mine are antique copper. I think mine are just bronze. And I don't know. I don't know. This was kind of the wild card for me in this entire mix. I did use some of these in the project today, but I was like, I don't know how well maybe yours are a different color, but mine are not giving copper at all. Mine are giving bronze, and they look kind of, I don't know. They definitely look bronze when you put them up against the antique copper. So the antique copper, you're going to see in all of the findings, all the metal components. It's still beautiful and it goes with this. But then when you put in the actual antique copper, I was a little thrown off by it. But they're still beautiful beads and they're going to get used, of course, because you know I love sparkle. Okay, next up, a little bit more sparkle. Gina says hers are bronze too. These are so pretty. So this is a 5x3mm crystal faceted rondelle in copper pink. I love these. I think they are absolutely beautiful. And if you are keeping up, I'm going to be hitting trends really hard in 2025. So I want you guys to be paying attention. I'm trying to help you up your game when it comes to jewelry making. Fast trends come and go. And as much as I hate to invest lots of time and money into fast trends, we do kind of have to accept that they do have a place in what we do, right? I mean, they just do. And one of the trends for 2025 is soft pink. You guys are going to be seeing soft pink like this one in the rose quartz and this one right here. You're going to be seeing this soft pink everywhere for the end of winter and into the spring. So embrace that soft pink, even if it's not your thing. Okay. Soft pink is very, very popular right now. So this was very timely. All right. Now got more beads, more beads, more beads. This was another one of my favorites. This is an 8x6mm crystal faceted rondelle beads in vintage mix. I love this mix. Every bead here is beautiful. I have pulled out the cream colored ones that were part of this. There's only a handful of them left here, as you can see, because I'm going to be using those in the necklace that we're going to put together here in just a few minutes. But even the purples, everything in that just looks beautiful. I don't know. It just kind of takes this to like a more party kind of place, I guess. So you can leave these out and you've got like classic boho, or you can pop this in and now all of a sudden you kind of have a party going on. So you can really get a lot of different moods out of this box depending on how you mix and match things. All right, another bead that we have is 12mm rhodonite faceted coin beads. There are 8 of these. These are all absolutely beautiful, and they all have their own little personalities as well, which I love. Some of them are more brown, some of them are more pink. Love those. Susie says the soft pink goes well with the mocha color of the year. I agree, and I think that that's part of the reason why the soft pink is so popular right now, because it really does pair very, very nicely with that mocha. All right, another bead that we had here. We had 2 of these, but one of these I've set to the side because we're using it in our design, is a rhodonite oval drop. These are so pretty. I had this one that was a little bit darker. The other one is a little bit more pink. So I pulled the pinker one out to use in our project. Also have, now getting into the metal things, we have some fancy coin beads, and some of these are missing as well because I'm using a lot of these in the design today. So there was several of these. Just know that I'm going to be using them. So I'm going to sit those right up there. So a lot of those missing. There's also one of these missing because I'm also using it. This is our pendant in the box. This is a 35mm medallion pendant. There were 2 of these, which is really cool. I love that they gave you 2 instead of 1 so you can create multiple designs. We're using 1 in our project today, but I have enough beads and that pendant left over to create a whole other necklace if I want to. And if that's not enough, there is another pendant here. This one is rhodonite and brass. Another really beautiful antique copper pendant to go with everything. So pretty. All right. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, I am. These little medallion charms, and I'm using a ton of these as well. So if you are wondering where these are, we're going to be using them. There was a whole little baggie of these, which I absolutely love using those in our design. So that's why you're not seeing all of those at the moment. Toggles. There were 3 toggles. One of them I am using in today's project, but I love these. So I mentioned before that Beadbox Bargains is a great place to stock up on things like metal beads and spacers and bead caps. It's also a great place to get some really cool clasps. So if you're looking for something a little more decorative than just your standard lobster or your standard trigger clasp, I definitely recommend checking them out because they always have them in a lot of different metal colors, and there's always something really beautiful to choose from. I adore these. I love all of the little details that are part of these. So we're using one of these and we're using it in the front of our necklace today. And there were 3, so that's why there's only 2 right here. Then there were bead caps, and some of these are missing as well because I am using these in our design. These are rope accented bead caps. One of my favorite things to get from them. And the bead caps are like the clasps. You can get them in a lot of different metal colors. So definitely check them out. If you're looking to add some pops of metal to your designs, it's a great place to stock up on things like bead caps and spacers. Those are super pretty. And then last but not least, we have some chain, and I love the chain. It's always appreciated that they include chain with things. This is some Rolo chain. This is a meter, 1 meter, a 4mm steel roto chain in Rolo chain in that antique copper, which is absolutely gorgeous. I didn't use any chain in today's design, though I'm sure I could find some ways to incorporate it if I wanted to. But I love when they include chain because it always matches so nicely. This is really beautiful, guys. So they've used antique copper here, but I would encourage you to mix this with your hematites and your rose golds. So if antique copper, if you love the antique copper, you use it up and you're like, okay, now what do I do with the rest of it? Those are 2 other metal choices that you've got to kind of further your creativity here. So the hematite color is really going to pull the darker shades, be able to use your tourmaline, and then the darker of the rhodonite would look really good, as well as all of these deep purples would mix really well with that deep kind of hematite color, or the rose gold, which works just like your regular coppers and your antique coppers because all of that has that pinky kind of feel to it. So if you're looking for some more inspiration, that's just a little bit of 2 cents from the Sarah brain. So there you go. All right. Oh, Heather has a request. She says, I need an amazing kit. On Friday, it's her birthday. Anything soft and romantic looking would be right up my alley. Heather, I got you, girl. I got you. Don't you worry. I got you. I haven't started making kits yet, but I will put that down on the list. I got you. Don't you worry. All right. I'm going to move all of these gorgeous beads out of the way here, and we're going to put together a quick little necklace. I call this little in a loving sense, not in a size sense, because this is not a little necklace, but it's a beautiful one. And I just mean that with all the affection. All right. Moving my metals out of the way here. All right. Anita says antique copper is difficult to get in Johannesburg. You know, I've actually heard that about some other places as well. It's just not, it's not really popular, and it just, I don't know. I think it's very popular here in the States, but I don't know that everybody else in the world feels the same way that we do about it. Okay, so I mentioned those beautiful, what did we call them? Where's the bag? My goodness. So these are the freshwater shell beads. The nuggets that have been dyed pink. Now, I didn't use all of them, but I went ahead and pre-strung a lot of these. This is actually going to be the back of our necklace. I'll give you a measurement in case you're curious as to how much of this I've already used. I'm also using some of my 19-strand bead-along bead string wire in satin copper. I thought this was a really nice complementary color. You might not necessarily see any of this, but if you do happen to see it whisper between a couple of beads, it's at least in a color that matches. So satin copper, I thought it was really pretty. Okay, grabbing my ruler here. So looks to be almost 8 inches, not quite 8 inches of the pink. And you know what? Let's add a couple more beads just to make it 8 inches, because I don't like to not be right on the money with things. So add another bead or two. Get this right at 8 inches, just for the sake of my brain at night. You lay there and you're like, why didn't I just make it 8 inches? Why didn't I just go ahead and measure it out and make it an even, round, nice number? All right, 8 inches of these little nugget guys. Those are going in the back. So we're actually going to work on this from the back moving forward, because our clasp is going to go in the front. So whatever I add to one side, I'm going to add to the other side. I'm going to raise you guys up just a little bit so you can see a little bit more of what I got going on. Well, that was not very helpful, but better than it was. All right, moving in my little trays. Listen, I get asked a lot about these little clear containers that I use to separate all my beads out. Dollar Tree. These are over in the party stuff, you know, where the plates and the napkins and the balloons and the streamers and stuff are, and the plastic like forks. They come in a whole stack for $1. Well, $1.25 now, because a dollar store is $1.25. But you know what I mean. If you need to know where to get those, that's where I get mine, and I grab them almost every time I go in there. So I have a ton of them. Okay, so now we are going to start stringing up our necklace. So the first thing that we are going to string on each side are these guys right here, because this was one of the smaller of the two beads. This was the other small bead choice. I don't know. I just wasn't quite ready to break this strand yet. So I went with the little bicones. So we're going to put a bicone on either side. Okay. Then we're going to do 3 of the rhodonite facets. So I'm going to do 3 on each side. This is just a stringing project, guys. There's nothing hard here. I think the hardest thing that you're going to do is crimp. And I know that can actually be quite frustrating for lots of people. So the rest of this is just stringing on some beautiful beads. And just as a reminder, in case you're just joining us, we're going through the bargain bead box, which we already went through, but now we're creating a necklace and we're starting at the back. Our clasp is going to be in the front. So if you're curious, that's the plan. All right, now I'm going to do another of the 2 little bicones. So there's one. I got a hair in my eye. And there's another. I love the shell beads too. I think they're so pretty. All right, now we're going to do 3 of the cream colored rondelles. Now remember, the rondelles were the creams, the bronze, a couple of different, I think 3 different purples. I pulled out the cream ones to use in this project, though I think any of them would have worked. But I was just trying to keep this as soft as I could color-wise. So 3 of those. All right, now we're going to mix things up a little bit. We're going to bring in some of the bead caps and some of our rose quartz. So I'm going to do a bead cap, a rose quartz, and then a bead cap to frame that one. The next one I'm not going to frame. I'm just going to thread it on. And then I'm going to do another one that is framed with bead caps. So bead cap, rose quartz, bead cap, drop that down. It's a really nice way to add pops of metal, but not use up every single one of the bead caps that you have. So keep that in mind for other designs. If you love the bead caps, but you don't have a lot of them, or you are just not ready to commit to using all of them in one piece, maybe you want to save some of them to put in a bracelet. And then alternate. You don't have to give every single bead a bead cap when you're doing a section of beads that are all the same. So You can skip a bead. It's still got metal on either ends. It just kind of isn't wearing the hat, so to speak. It's just in between. It's getting a little hug from the other guys. All right, so same thing on the other side. So we're doing the bead cap, the rose quartz, bead cap. Then we're doing bead cap. Going the other direction for our rose quartz. And then bead cap. All right, so that's what we've got so far. All right, working towards the front here. Okay, now some more metal. Let me scoot this back just a little bit so we can kind of see. All right, I'm going to take some of these metal beads. These are one of my favorites in the box. So we're going to do a metal bead and then one of the rhodonites, a metal bead and a rhodonite. Sharing is caring with bead caps. You're right, Wanda. All right, so now we're going to repeat that over here on the other side. So we're doing the metal bead, the faceted, the metal bead, and then a faceted rhodonite. Okay. Wish you could see everything here, but the screen is just not quite big enough for all that. Okay, now we're going to throw in these guys. So we're going to do 5 of these on each side. And we're going to put these guys right here that we had been using in between them. Excuse me. All right. Gosh, I'm running out of string here. All right. Now, one thing you do want to keep in mind is you want these to all be going the correct direction. So you don't want these to hang inwards. You want them to hang outwards so that, remember, this is the front of the necklace. It's going to be laying up against you. And these on this side are going to lay this way. The ones on this side are going to lay this way. Okay. So we're going to thread one of those and then one of the faceted beads. Drop that down. Another one. This is going to give this kind of like a Bali feel to it almost. Kind of has like that Tibetan coin kind of feeling to it. Oh yeah, absolutely. Heather says you could do this design either direction. You could. We've got a pendant that's going to go on the front, but you could easily take the pendant off and just wear it as, you know, as just a standard necklace with the clasp in the back. So you could do this either way if you wanted to switch it up, right? If you wanted to change it around, if you're feeling a different way on a different day. All right, so all of those are going on with the little facets between them. Now we got to do the same thing over here on the other side, making sure that these beads are going in the other direction. So definitely want to be kind of mindful when you're stringing these on. We're getting towards the end of our bead stringing wire too. I hope I cut enough. If I didn't, it's going to be pretty embarrassing. Wouldn't be the first time, but I don't want to restring this whole thing. I will if I have to, but I don't want to. Okay. So there's all of that. So we've got lots of different sections going on here. So you can see we have the shells, and then our lighter pieces, and then things are getting a little darker, a little sassier with more of the metal being popped in in there, right? All right, so now we're going to do 2 more of the metal just to go on the ends, kind of like what we have right here. Thank you, Sandy. I think it turned out really beautiful as well, but it's not me. It's the bead box, right? It's not me. They already put together an amazing assortment of beads. I just decided what kind of pattern I wanted, but I think you literally could string this any way you wanted to, and it's still going to be absolutely gorgeous. So, okay, now bead caps again. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I changed this up a little bit. I forgot about that. I'm like, why are there only 2 bead caps left? So I made my design a little different. I don't know why I did that. Maybe I forgot. Maybe it was a space issue. I don't know. In the picture, I only have one of these on one side, but we're going to see if we can get both of them in there. Let me grab some more bead caps. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. So if you look back at the picture of this design, one side, and I'm sure that I did it because I was running out of bead stringing wire, but it's been a minute since I put this together. I only did 1 additional rose quartz on one side, so it made the necklace a little bit asymmetrical. But we're gonna put them on both. So bead cap, rose quartz, bead cap, do the same thing on the other side, unless you want it to be asymmetrical, like I did it in the picture for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe it was a mistake. I have no idea. It's funny how that happens. It still looked really good though, so I don't know. I don't mind. All right. Then we are going to do 3 of the cream rondelles. It had to have been a bead stringing wire issue. And we're going to finish that with 1 of the bronze bicones. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, which will be helpful if you could see. There we go. Yes, you could very easily turn this into a lariat, for sure. You definitely want to make it a little bit longer than I made mine, but you could make a beautiful lariat necklace with this. All right, now we're going to crimp, okay? So I am using some antique copper wire guardians. I can find them. And I'm using some antique copper crimp tubes, and grab 2 of those. They're not antique copper, they're just regular copper, but you know, tomato. All right, threading on my crimp. And we're going to thread on our wire guardian and down through the wire guardian and then down through the crimp. And I'm not going to pull this up against the beads because I'm just doing one side here. So I can pull out the slack, just making sure that I have enough on the other side. So I'll show you what I mean here, but you want to be sure that your wires are not crisscrossing inside your crimp tube. Place that into the back notch of your crimper tool. Give that a squeeze. Then you're going to turn it sideways, put it into the front notch of your crimper tool, give that a squeeze, give it the tug test, come in with your cutter and trim off the excess. All right, now slide all your beads down so that you meet up. Now we have a little bit extra down here. So I wasn't as short on wire as I thought I was going to be. Also, don't pull this too tightly, because if you pull this too tight, these guys, they're already going to kind of overlap each other just a little bit. But if you pull too tight, everything tenses up and gets really, really stiff. You want this to still have a really nice drape. So be careful. All right, crimp going on. Wire guardian going on. Yes. Robin says you could make a really beautiful ombre piece with lots of texture. Yes, you could. Lori says this is gorgeous. This box is one of her very favorites. I do love a good pink and copper combo. The only thing I love more than pink and copper is red and copper. But I think this was a really beautiful box. There were some of the beads in this that at first I was like, I don't know. It's not my favorite. But once I started putting this necklace together, I was like, yes, this is beautiful. This box is gorgeous. The combinations are gorgeous. All right. So now we're down here to the ends. So this is the length that we're working with here. So you can see all of this, right? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now I want to be extra because I am extra. That's just kind of how I was created. I'm going to use this guy right here, but I don't want to use it by itself. So we're going to use the toggle. Okay, so our toggle is going to go on toggle ring on one side, the toggle bar on the other. Let's go ahead and put the toggle bar on. And we are going to use, I'm using 2 jump rings for this. And I actually grabbed these jump rings from Beadbox Bargains a while ago. It's a great place to grab jump rings that sometimes, like, I get the mixed bags of the jump rings in a bunch of different sizes. It's like these little baggies. I love to get those. And that's what I grabbed to create this piece. So I'm using 2, they look like about 6 millimeter. They might be 5 millimeter. 2 jump rings here for the bar portion. And I'm going to put that on one of my wire guardians. All right. Then on the other side, I'm just going to use a single for my toggle ring. And then we're going to hang all of this other stuff. Let me show you. So hanging on this guy is where our pendant is going to go, right? But I got to have more than that because, like I said, I'm extra. So we're using one of the drops and we're going to wire wrap one of the little metal beads and we're going to hang all of this together. I'm going to go ahead and put this one on. And you don't have to do the extra beads if you don't want to. I just liked all of it. It was fun. You know how I feel about dangles. So the more dangles, the better. All right. Yay. Heather says, I jump-started her creativity. I'm glad to hear it. Though I don't think you need much help from me, Heather. Just saying. I'm just saying. I think you got this. All right. And then I'm going to wire wrap this guy. So I'm going to grab a head pin. And I'm going to thread this on and I'm going to do a wrapped loop. Only wrapped loop in the entire piece. All right. Grabbing the wire where it is exiting the bead. I'm going to bend that. And coming in with my round nose pliers. Went up and over. Rotate, take the wire over to the other side, and then you're going to wire wrap in that space in between. I love it. Robin, you're so right. Robin says we wouldn't be here if we weren't a little extra also. Agreed. I think that's why we all get along with each other so well. Janelda, I'm using the 19 strand. I'm using 19 strand in satin copper. All right, I'm going to trim off the excess. It's a little crooked. There we go. Just wanted that wrap to sit over the top of that, the hole in that bead. Okay, and then I'm just going to use a jump ring, and I'm going to attach it on here as well because I just can't help myself. And I would have added more dangles, except that something inside me said, you better not. You better stop now. There's already this whole little section here. You don't need more dangles than that. So yeah, I refrained, but what is that? Oh gosh. That on just like so. And this will look so much better hanging, I promise you. But you can see my little layered dangly-do pendant here in the front with all of my yummy beads. Yep, I'm going to turn you guys around and we're going to take a look at, excuse me, there's a dog right at my feet. Turn you around. we're going to look at this on the bust. Because it looks so much better when gravity does what gravity does. You know what I mean? One of the very few things we can say that about gravity. Thanks for holding me onto the earth. All of the rest of that, making my jewelry look good. The rest of it, gravity, please. Okay. Oh my. Yep. Okay. So this necklace is longer than my necklace bust is, obviously. Hold on, let me fix the clasp here because I got it facing the wrong direction. So I'm going to show you the length, and then I'm going to shorten it up just a little bit just so you can see how it's going to lay. But look how pretty. So pretty. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so pretty. There's so much texture. This is so comfortable around the neck. Love that. Love that. Sandy, that is exactly what I was kind of getting at without saying it. All right, now I'm going to pull some of the links to the back just a little bit, just so that you can see the pendant part on the bust instead of hanging down on the bottom there. But it's so pretty. It's just such a pretty necklace. I really love the combination of all of the beads. When I get bargain bead box beads, I'm always inspired, even when it is something that I don't particularly love, because that happens, right? I'm not going to love every single bargain bead box that comes. Am I going to be able to find things that I love within that? Yes. Am I always going to love the overall, theme? Probably not. I mean, there have been times where there have been a couple of boxes and I've been like, that's not my favorite, but I use those as opportunities to really kind of stretch myself creatively. However, it is also a really good opportunity for if you are in a rut creatively, right? If you're having a hard time getting your mojo going and being inspired to create anything, couple of things you can do. Number one, you can join the Bargain Bead Boxes Facebook group, because that is a great place to see what other people are doing with theirs. You can also just sit down, grab some bead stringing wire, forget about pliers, forget about the crimping, just get you two little, the bead stoppers, put your bead stopper on each end, right? Put these beads in whatever order you want to. Mix in the metals, because there's always some good metals included, and just play with the pattern and play with the texture. A lot of times that is enough to kind of just jumpstart you. They've done the hard part for you. They've picked out everything that goes together. It's just up to you to sit and doodle, if you will, right? If we were all painters and artists and drawers, I mean, we are artists, but you know what I'm saying? Like if we were painters or we were going to draw something or whatever, if we were stuck, we would doodle, right? We would doodle, or we would just play with line and play with color. Same thing with jewelry making. So sit down, lay out your bead string wire, put these on a necklace board, put them out on your bead mat, and just put them in different orders to see what you like, because the hard part's done. Now it's just time for you to play. It's like a brand new box of crayons. Bead doodles. Susie says, bead doodles, how fun. Yes, exactly. So use it as an opportunity, guys. For one thing, the price point on Bargain Bead Box is at a really good spot, particularly this time in life where everybody's being really careful about where they're spending their money. I get that. This is a great little investment to your creativity, and it doesn't cost an absolute fortune. So I definitely recommend it. Their customer service is top notch. That 30% off coupon is wonderful. And let this be the one thing that kind of helps to get you out of the rut. And you can see, I made this really long necklace, and you guys saw the pile of beads and stuff that I still had left over. I can create an entire collection to go with just this piece if I want to, or I can mix in all the other things that I have to come up with some other ideas. So use it as a way to grow, guys. I love it. Bead doodles. Exactly. All right, guys, I'm done for now. I'm going to go find myself some lunch. I've got a phone call with Meredith from Beadline coming up here in a few minutes. And then I will be getting together with Hardwired at 3 p.m. Eastern this afternoon. So if you're a Hardwired member, I'm looking forward to seeing you. We're putting together a really beautiful pendant this week. All right, the rest of you guys, don't forget, set your reminders for 1 p.m. Eastern for Friday for our Feel Good Friday show. And I will see you then. I love ya. Bye, guys.